All right. Good afternoon, YouTube, and about to go on TikTok as well here. Let's see. There we go. All right. Welcome, everybody. We're going to take a look at some stocks today. Really wanted to focus on short selling. So we've obviously been in a pretty nasty bear market for going on 11 months now. Anyone who's been short stocks, I bet against them, has made a lot more money than people who are buying stocks. So I want to talk about how to sell stocks short, how to bet against them, because there's certain setups where you can still get short or bet on a stock to go lower. You can also do this by just buying a simple put option that will allow you to profit when the stock goes lower. There's a certain setup I've found the most success with over the last several months. I'm going to walk through that with you. I call it the broken leader. Okay, so let's walk through how this works. I'm going to give you a couple of examples. You can see the charts here. Get my arm in front of that one. Here's LEU. Let me look at one that worked out really well. Here's Lantheus, LNTH. Okay, so what I want you to notice, and I'll take this relative strength line off here. We're just going to focus on the stock chart and the volume. But when stocks break out from a certain level, for example, you take Lantheus here. Now, this has been a market-leading stock all year. By the way, that's kind of the first requirement here. You want to find stocks that have been leading the market, the big movers that are up big, several 100% on the year. Those are the ones that when they fail can make big profits to the downside because they're already up 3, 4, 500%. They can easily cause a big move down. And these things just get overinflated. They get way beyond what they're really worth. And when the party's over and the fund starts selling these stocks, can make big down moves. We'll take a look at Lantheus Holdings, LNTH, a little medical biotech stock. You'd have no idea we're in a bear market based on the stock. It's come from 23, 25 bucks a share to $85 a share. So it's 250%. Well, look what's happened here. As once the stock did this final little breakout here back in August, notice this white line I've drawn in the chart. That is a support level. It's bouncing, it's holding. Once that breaks, that becomes our line in the sand. That's what we're watching for. And so what was support becomes resistance. Hopefully you guys are familiar with support and resistance. Support is just a level that like the stock can't get below. It's bouncing off of. Resistance is a level the stock can't get above. It's fighting to get above that price and it's holding it down. Well, you see this was resistance here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days. Even this crazy action couldn't get through it. Finally did. And then what? It's support. It's holding. Well, look when it breaks down. Now, this level has now given way. Let's call it $77 a share right here. Now, I don't do anything when it first breaks down here, okay? All I'm looking to do is see if I get a second chance to sell it on a push back up here into that resistance level. It's going to hold for a while. And watch how Lantheus plays out. You get a push back in. Right there is where you want to sell it. In fact, I did short this stock right here at 76. Because it was resistance, support. Now you should be able to sell against it. You've got the 50-day moving average right there. And look at it just fall apart right off that level. Now, sometimes you even get a second chance. And Lantheus gave us a second entry. Watch the chart here as we pushes back up into that resistance level once again. Here it is, right there to $77. Now, give it a little bit of room. If you find it at 77, it can go to 78 or a couple percent. But I mean, don't let it go to 82, 83. I wouldn't let it get up here. Again, you've got a nice short entry right at that level, and it just rips down lower right across it, cuts to the 200-day moving average. And this is a great little profit. This would be up, it was a 28% drop in just about a week and a half, which is a huge, huge profit on a short sale. If you're playing options, maybe you just want to buy a put option instead, you'd be talking about several 100% in profits. I want to look at a couple others. I'll show you how this works. Again, the best stocks to target for this, the best stocks are going to be those previous market leaders. Here's Celsius Holdings, CELH, is an energy drink company. 5 years ago, this is like a $3 or $4 stock. Now it's a $100 stock. Look at the meteoric rise of this one. It's been a monster. And even in 2022, in a bear market, it held sideways, rallied higher to stock. I mean, doubled in the worst bear market in 12 years. So this is clearly a leader. Now, look what it does up here. It's holding, bounce. See up over here, bounce, bounce, bounce. There's your support level, $92, $93. Just draw a line. Doesn't need to be overly complicated. Draw a line in there. Once again, bounces again, and then cuts through it. Now this went right through and pulled right back into it. You seeing that? That level, now that we're below it, not a percent below it, not a penny below it, but 5, 10+% below it. When it pulls back, this is now an area of resistance. What was support becomes resistance. It's holding it, it's holding it, it's holding it, it's holding it. Now it's gonna push it down. And sure enough, see how it's holding right against this now? It was holding it above it, but was support becomes resistance. Now it was working nicely. It came off here, shot down about 15% in a week, which is great. Today, right here, Thursday, November 10th, we just got good CPI data. It turns out inflation is coming off faster than expected. Look at the indexes. The S&P's up 5%. The NASDAQ's up 6% on the day. Everything is up. But look what this stock did. It gapped way up, tried to run, and immediately pulled back. This thing, had you just shorted it when it got up in here this morning, I mean, you'd have an 8 or 10% profit just in the day. And that's in the strongest day in the market we've seen in pretty much the entire year. And this stock is down here closing on its lows. So that's the power of using these. Let's look at a few others. PRVA is another one. This is Privia Health. Healthcare stock's been doing pretty well. I'm going to try to show you some you can still get into right now. Once again, this one tightening, kind of breaks out here. Notice over here back in July, if you can see it on the chart, my cursor is stalling, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 trading. There's a week and a half here. Finally comes up, support, bounces support, cuts down support. And it's just, and I call this like a shelf where the stock is trying to rally, getting higher, gets eviscerated down 25% and just can't rally. And then just puts in this little shelf right here. Once that breaks, you're pretty much off to the races, to the downside. But look what this did. It broke down, immediately becomes resistance, and you had 3, 4, 5 days to get short this stock before it fell near to $24. That's these are 22% move. On a short trade, 20, 30% is a huge win. Remember, the stock has to go bankrupt to make 100%. Okay. So there's only so much you can get. That's why if you want to do it on leverage, you want to buy put options to get a slightly higher percentage return, you can do that. But if you can pick up these 15, 20, 25% gains, the nice thing about shorting stocks is we like to say stocks take the stairs up and the escalator down. So the elevator down, excuse me, that they fall much faster than they rise. So if you look at the move up here, I mean, look at this grind. If you bought it back in here, it took you what? 30 days to get that 18, 19% move. Well, look at the short side. I mean, you got 25% in 8 days. So it just, they can go down very, very quickly. You'll know very, very quickly if you're right or not. It'll stop you out. If you're not, you can take a minimal risk and hopefully get some nice profits on this thing. Now, if you're lucky, you get when it really just rips and goes lower, but I like to, kind of sell into this. I get up 15, 20%. I sell half. It keeps going. I sell another piece of position and just have a little bit left there at the end. I'll show you some others. This is one that didn't really give us a shot, but it's a good example of this. Here's our line and make this solid so you can see it. Do you notice how this was our breakout level back here in July, where the stock couldn't get above, couldn't get above. It's holding right there. And then boom, it breaks out. This now is your line. This is your big, what was resistance is going to become support. So when it comes down, it bounces off it. And then as soon as it goes through here, I mean, it's just good night, taken out behind the woodshed. Now I was hoping to get short here. Where would I have gotten short? If the stock had bounced back up to here, I would have put on a huge short position right here, 35, 36 bucks a share for this move we were anticipating. We didn't get it, so be it. If this trade doesn't set up, if you don't find a place you can get short and risk 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 10%, don't take it. There's no sense risking 20, 30, 40%. I would never take losses like that. We always want low risk setups, but we're looking for areas that we can buy or sell a stock, risk very little and potentially make a lot. Okay. So that's BEP. I think we looked at LEU. We looked at this one earlier. We have not. Okay. So here's another one. I got the line dashed. I'll make it solid so you can see it. And I can even turn off some of these moving averages if they're distracting you. You can turn them all off if you want. You even need them. but look how clear this is. As the stock comes down, resistance, resistance, stalling right in here, and then finally breaks out. That line immediately becomes support, 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 and then boom, it cut through it. Now I think you've got this is a great place to get short LEU. If you're looking for an actual actionable trade, an actionable trade idea right now, I would get short LEU. Look at the selling we had yesterday. It was an earnings number. They disappointed on earnings. Huge volume. The stock normally trades 200,000 shares a day, traded 1.2 million. So 6x the average daily volume. The stock falls 31% in a single day, closes at the lows. The only thing causing this inside day to day is the fact that the markets are up huge and everything's getting propped. But make no mistake, this stock is dead in the water. I would place a serious bet the stock is going lower. In fact, I'm probably going to short this thing. This is in this session here. I think it's a perfect place to get short. I think you can put a stop maybe at the high of this candle, 39.75-ish. Get short right in here and look for continuation, move lower. What was resistance becomes support. What was support becomes resistance. And this is one likely going to fail here and tank lower. Okay, so that's LEU, Centrus Energy Corp. Let's see, NEP. This is one I was in. It kind of got me this morning. Again, the market's up big. You got to, trading's not an exact science. There are going to be events like this when everything goes up in a day or everything comes. You could have the perfect long trade, and then, like we saw a month ago, inflation numbers come in worse than expected, or interest rates get hiked again, and then just wham, everything just gets hammered. That's what's happening here. But other than that, I think the stock's really not running today. It's gapped up a little bit, a couple percent, but I bet it still fails here. Really textbook setup here. This is a perfect buying opportunity. Nice tightening compression pattern. You buy here as it breaks out. And then once that failed, once that pivot gave way, look at this resistance. Stalling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days. Little gap up here, but I would be willing to bet this thing still comes lower. So that's NEP. Is everyone understanding how this works? You're just kind of looking, and my buy list, my focus list, the stocks I'm watching to get in on, the strongest names in the market will quickly become my short selling list. And I know that sounds counterintuitive, that stocks you wanted to buy a month ago are now stocks you want to sell. But you got to think about what drives stock prices, and it's institutional activity. It's big funds, deep pocketed, investors buying millions of shares. And when they lose an appetite for a stock, whether earnings are worse or it's reached its full valuation, or they've just decided the markets are too risky and they're getting out, they dump in mass. And that's what causes the big sell-offs. And so, those areas where the stock was finding sellers before it got higher are going to find them again, and they're going to just get eviscerated. ORA, did we look at this one? So ORA is one. We kind of had two levels here, but notice how, put some of these moving averages back on. Is here for me to look at without them. Notice how this was finding resistance, and it also had this big breakout level. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 3-4 weeks right here, just holding right there at the $80 mark. So once it breaks out, and really you can even remove this other line here. Once it broke out there, that's now going to be support on the first retouch. And resistance, it's up. It may never come back, but if it does, man, what a great place to buy right there off the breakout. And so this works in both directions. Right now, I'm kind of focusing on the short side because most stocks are going down with the exception of today. But this works in both directions because you're looking at those significant areas of the market. And this one rallied, 25% over 3.5 weeks or so. So really nice little move there from around $80 to $100 just in kind of the month of October. Another one, these are like failed patterns, basically. You guys familiar with like a cup with handle pattern? You guys know what that is? This is what it looks like. This is made famous by William O'Neill, the founder of Investors Business Daily. But it's when a stock just puts in this big cup, like a big, shallowing base cup formation, and then a little handle over here. And the strategy is when it breaks above this handle, you want to buy the stock. And it's proven to be a fairly consistent performer. And it's got the underlying supply and demand dynamics sort of built in there. That's what caused the breakout higher. But look at this. We're in a tough market. Stock breaks out strong. As soon as it fails and breaks the low of that handle, here was let's just draw a line at the bottom of this handle right here. That was your area. And once it breaks below there, it just went wham, came down, one little retest, wham. And this doesn't look like a lot, but just these little moves right in here. I mean, you sell short as it comes down. That's 15% in 3 days right there. The retest comes up, you get short, it falls 25% in a week. From $10 to what, 7.5. That's a great little profit right there, just from noticing, hey, here's the bottom, here's the shelf there. This is the support area in that handle. And if it breaks down below it, that's where I want to sell the thing. Or if it comes back and retests it, I want to sell. Those are even more powerful. Okay. So any questions on this stuff? I know we're on TikTok as well here. I got a few people watching over there. We are broadcasting on YouTube Live. Any questions on this approach? We can look at some of the current stocks out there, see if we can find some opportunities right now. Just want to look through. ITVA is one, Intracellular. Do you see this one? This is a biotech stock. Once again, big performer in 2020. Look what it did here. Went from 38 to 66 in the bear market. Now, it had this one little wiggle where it came down below that. But otherwise, I think if you look at this chart, you can pretty clearly see support. I mean, look, what is this? May, June, July, August. 4 months, it's holding that $51, $52 mark. So once, it's holding. Once it breaks, okay, once you're right here on the chart, I'm not going to short it here, but if I get a chance, if it bounces back to 52, I'm going to short that stock. And when it does, you better take advantage. And you see how this one played out. Nice quick move. Get short here at the break. Drops 18, 19% in a week and a half. Comes back up. Now you're getting another test. You can sell the thing short right here. Probably this morning would have been a little better at 52. But once again, these areas just continue to hold. Now, eventually it will fail. Eventually this level will no longer be significant. But you only need that first retest is generally the best. You're often going to miss, you're watching, it breaks. Missed it. Okay, either it just keeps going lower and you don't get in on it, or it comes back and that's your entry. That's where you want to sell the thing short. Sometimes you get two entrances like we did on LNTH and then really powers lower. But ITCI, Intracellular Therapeutics, is another one that you could take right in here for a nice short entry. And if you guys got certain stocks you're thinking of, let me know and I'll take a look at those as well. I'm just going to kind of scroll through some of my watch list here. So CTVA, Corteva. This is an absolute textbook breakout move. Big power higher. Notice it holds the 200 and just shallows, breaks out right here. So remember, we said this works on both sides. If CTVA pulls back to the $64 area, I would absolutely buy it here for a continuation move higher. Now, it's not guaranteed to work, so don't just not place a stop loss. I mean, put a stop loss in at risk 6, 7, 8%, something like that. If it's going to work, it should do so fairly quickly. PRTA. All right, this one's beginning to form support level right in here. Where is it? Right there around, what, $52, something like that? Had a huge gap up. The stock was up 87% in one day. It's an absolute monster move. $1 billion of wealth was created in a single trading session. Comes up, holds. Maybe this thing goes to the moon here, and it's not a bad place to buy it. But if the stock breaks down, if it gives up this $50 price point, and let's say you come back a week later and the stock has done this, if that happens, set an alert. In TradingView, it's easy. You literally right click and hit set alert, add alert at whatever price, and just put your notes, short sell here, this, that. It'll pop up on your phone and your computer if it hits. But if it gets, then you're looking for a retest of this area. If it does, that's where you want to short for a continuation of the move lower. Because if this thing is to hold, if big buyers are still there and they're going to keep the stock up, it shouldn't give this pivot level up. It should not break down below, $50, $51 right in there. LNG kind of putting in support right here. Could be the same thing. We'll see what happens. But it is putting in sort of support level here. Hopefully it holds. But if it does, if it breaks down and then comes back, I'd short that and look for a move lower. GLNG trying to hold its trend line. I don't think there's a whole lot here to cover that one. And look, you're going to look at 100 stocks and 95 of them, you go, I don't really see anything, but you only need a couple of these good opportunities. Here's another one. DV ended the same thing. Tried to break out, failed. Look at the retest right here. Immediately sells off lower. All right, DCP midstream also tightening up here. Hasn't really gone much above it. So, I mean, I'm not going to let it a dollar or so move. But look, clearly there was resistance at the $39 level. So if this stock, gets up and then pulls back, that's where I'm going to look to buy it. And let's say it comes up and then eviscerates down. Where am I going to get short? Right there all day long. I'll get short at $38, $39 if it breaks down and comes back. That's what I'm looking for. Clean Harbor. There's a lot going on here. AMR, don't see a whole lot. I'm just kind of scrolling through some of the stocks here. Kind of finding support here at 54.55. ACA. EXTR bounced off resistance. See this here? See how this level was just resistance, 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 resistance. Once it gets above, there's your support. There's your support. Very, very straightforward. CEIX, same thing. Resistance, resistance. And kind of put this, whoops. Really, this line would be kind of right down in here. Just look at that, Can't get above it, can't get above it, can't get above it. Finally does support, 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 and we'll see what happens here. I'd probably, and the thing is, you can buy it here, risk a couple dollars a share. If it breaks down and goes lower, so be it. Wait for the retest and get short. So you don't even have to decide on a direction. You're just looking at limited risk trades off these key levels. All right. So I don't see any questions coming in. I hope this has helped a little bit to kind of understand an approach to short selling. What you don't want to do is just pile on. You don't just jump into the stocks that are free falling out of sky and just crashing lower, because you don't know where you're wrong. You don't know. All right, if I get short here, where am I wrong? Where am I getting out of this thing? And if you get short a stock that just rallies higher, you can be looking at some big losses. So you always want to identify, where am I wrong? Where am I going to get out of this position? And you want to keep that risk to 5, 10, 12%, whenever possible. Okay. So appreciate you all's time. If you have any questions, let us know. Now, we are having a special webinar this coming Wednesday. We're going to cover we call it the $150,000 trading challenge. We're going to cover our 3 biggest mega trend opportunities we see in the coming months. I believe the link is in the description below this. Check that out, click it, and you can register for Wednesday's event. All right. Thanks again.